I remember the very first time we heard of Joe Burrow potentially becoming a number one overall pick. Do you remember the top knock against him? And I bet you a lot of you guys are still having the same issue with him if you're a Joe Burrow naysayer. The people that typically think that Joe Burrow is going to quote unquote bust are the people that are saying the reason he's going to bust is because he was a product of a phenomenal offense that was surrounding him that was able to make him look better than he really was. When you have a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson, you have a fantastic offensive system that results in you winning the Heisman Trophy and a national championship, a lot of people are going to start doubting you. Well, today was the first time we heard of any of these NFL players getting into pads, and I figured that I give you guys updates on the most promising rookies and the most exciting rookies thus far. Now, this is my very first time doing this, guys, so if you want me to do more of these update videos, I could probably do a lot of them for you guys. All I'm asking is you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe, turn on my notifications, and comment what other rookie that you would like an update on. On top of that, I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Madden 21 came out, and I'm going to be doing some Madden 21 streaming tonight. A link to that's in the description down below, and this video is also sponsored. Now, before we dive into the video, I wanted to ask you guys something. Have you ever wanted to read more books or just learn more in general, but didn't really have the time to sit down and go through a full book? I personally have tried reading books over and over again, and it takes a bit longer than I'd hope so. That's why I highly recommend Blinkist. For those of you guys that don't know, Blinkist is an app that takes the best insights from thousands of nonfiction books and condenses them into just 15 minutes. So you can instantly get the best insights of the book by either reading it yourself or even listening to it podcast style while you're driving or you're going about your day. Now, personally, you guys know I'm really into sports, but I'm also into self-development. So I checked out Personality Isn't Permanent by Benjamin Hardy, and it's a 13-minute book that I was able to finish in one drive over to my studio. And they also have a very cool motivation and inspiration section where I was able to check out Mind Over Clutter, which really helped me with clearing my mind, and it was only a 10-minute listen. Now, for each of the first 100 people that go to Blinkist.com/microphone, they'll get an unlimited access trial for a whole week. You also get 25 off to decide if you want the full membership, and during the free week trial, you could cancel at any point. So go to Blinkist.com/microphone and shout out to Blinkist for giving us our very first sponsor on the channel. Now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Cincinnati Bengals have had a very difficult go the past couple of years, and my heart goes out to them. They've gotten so close to being relevant in the Marvin Lewis era, but they always were just a few steps away from actually being able to contend. And now they have this exciting new regime. They plucked a head coach from the Sean McVay coaching tree named Zach Taylor. Last year didn't really count because, well, whenever your first round pick, who was a member of your offensive line, I'm talking about Jonah Williams, goes down with an injury, and on top of that, the best player on your offense goes down with an injury as well, chances are you're punting on that entire season. And it seemed like the Cincinnati Bengals did that. So this is officially the first year in the Zach Taylor era. And although I would have liked to see a little bit of a culture shift, kind of like the way Brian Flores did in Miami in his first year, I am really excited to see what he could do. But the very first question that we had is, how good is Joe Burrow actually? And I don't mean that in like and I know that sounds like a typical video I would make, but really, how good is he? Is he worthy of a number one overall pick? Did they do their homework on this guy properly? Bear in mind that there was a pandemic, so they did have limited resources in evaluating prospects. Should they have gone with Chase Young with the number one overall pick? Well, I have some good news for you guys, Cincinnati Bengal fans, because Joe Burrow took the field today with the Cincinnati Bengal teammates, and Bengals fans and Flemlo Raps, I have some good news for you guys. He looks really, really freaking good. So in his very first drive, according to reports that we got, and I'm going to try to show you as much footage as I could compile, but, you know, a lot of times we don't actually get the footage from each drive. The very first word we got is Joe Burrow came onto the field getting ready for his very first drive, was able to complete all of his pass attempts, had a 11-yard drive that resulted in a touchdown. Now, listen to how impressive this stat line was. In those 11 plays, Joe Burrow was 6 for 6 for 69 yards, of course, including a 6-yard touchdown pass to Auden Tate. And apparently the pass was a phenomenal half fade. I have a picture of it. It was into the back left corner on the end zone, which is a very advanced throw to make. But even furthermore, let me tell you what was a little bit more impressive about this. Joe Burrow did not have John Ross or AJ Green on the field to assist him with this drive. And when you throw a touchdown pass to Auden Tate, Bengal fans, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that like your wide receiver 4? So I understand the Bengals defense isn't necessarily one that strikes fear into our hearts, and I understand maybe I'm nitpicking here, but I do have a video on Tua Tagovailoa coming out next, and it isn't necessarily as pretty or as great as the video I'm making on Joe Burrow right now. Now, during his next drive, Joe Burrow only had one incompletion as he would take the Bengals in another drive 65 yards for another touchdown, but whenever he had to drop back, he was 3 of 4 for 33 yards and would throw yet another touchdown to Auden Tate. Now, again, it's really hard to diagnose and identify or even analyze this connection with Auden Tate. Is it a real connection that we can expect to happen in actual games, or is it just something that we're seeing in training camp as a result of Joe Burrow not having John Ross or AJ Green available? Honestly, I imagine that Joe Burrow is probably going to look for Auden Tate a decent amount, and if this keeps up, I wouldn't even be surprised to see Auden Tate hop over T. Higgins for that wide receiver 3 spot. The Bengals are in a really interesting scenario with their wide receivers because they used a top 10 pick on John Ross, they have used the franchise tag on AJ Green, they do have Auden Tate that's been impressing in training camp, and they used a second-round draft pick on T. Higgins in a very deep wide receiver draft. But I digress. His head coach, Zach Taylor, had this to say about Joe. He did a nice job communicating and had some nice drives for us. He was overall 9 for 10 of passing for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first 2 drives. He finished the day with 13 of 19 passing for 2 touchdowns, and this included situational drills. Now, the worst part of Joe Burrow's day was apparently he threw a deep ball that hung in the air long enough for a defender to get underneath it and force an incompletion. And to that, Zach Taylor said he needed to watch the tape to get a better understanding of what happened on the play. But overall, Taylor said that Burrow appeared to have a promising first scrimmage. And overall, Zach Taylor had this to say about the overall practice. I wanted to see guys hit and compete and get guys on the ground and break tackles when the juices are ramped up to see how our team responds to that. I just thought overall that it was a good start for our guys. So overall, Joe Burrow's looking really good in his training camp debut for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me know in the comment section down below which rookie we should cover next. And also, make sure you have your reminder set for our Junior Seau documentary tomorrow. A link to that's in the description down below. YouTube might not show you guys that because it's a little bit graphic, guys. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping the mic until our next upload.